All right. Well, welcome everybody. Appreciate those that have joined us via live Zoom, and then those that will consume this at a later date. Appreciate you tuning in and listening to what we have to offer. It has been an exciting year, to say the least, of course, for everybody, but for about the last year, a little bit more, we've been partnering with Hammerhead Swim Caps. As we all know, in the sport of artistic swimming, there is underwater issues and above water issues with head injuries. And, we at the national office took note of this very on in my tenure. And we wanted to start to do something tangible about it. And Hammerhead has a product that does reduce the concussion levels. And so we're happy to have Theresa Finn with us from Hammerhead. And to speak on it on behalf of one of our clubs in the country, we have Olympian, medalist, superstar, and coach at Walnut Creek, Heather Olson, with us to give you their perspective and why they have chosen to use Hammerhead. So with that, I will give the floor to Theresa Finn to tell you more about Hammerhead, and then Heather Olson.
Thank you, Adam, so much for putting this together. This is a great opportunity for Hammerhead and for our company and for myself to tell anyone in the USA artistic swimming market about the product, a little bit of background on how we designed it and why we designed it, and how it's being used in other sports. So I am the CEO and one of the co-founders. And so probably about 6 years ago, we were in a swimming pool. I'm a swim mom and a volunteer for our team. And my co-founder, David Burns, is a swim coach and he does swim school lessons. He and his mother own swim schools. So we were at a practice one Saturday, and it was really blustery out. And when swimmers are doing the backstroke, a lot of times they daydream, especially if they're a little younger. And if it's windy, it makes it harder to do their arm count before they hit the wall to either turn or stop the race. In any case, we saw two kids become very injured that day. And it's something that David had seen throughout his career as a swim coach. So we put our heads together. Fast forward, we launched our product line in 2018, and we designed it with a few things in mind. Its origins were with swimming, but as you'll hear shortly, there are applications around the whole aquatics world. So we designed it we made it with a premium silicone, so it's very stretchy. It feels a lot like a normal swim cap, and it's very pliable, bendable. A lot of times when you see images of it, it might look a little bit more rigid, but it's not. It's very pliable. This patented design that we came up with is, I don't know if you can see that with the lighting, but it's a system of honeycomb pillars, if you will. And they are designed to absorb shock. So when there's impact on the athlete's head, it dissipates across that safety system and minimizes both the pain and the injury to the athlete. So we did a few other things that made it a little bit more comfortable. We designed it so it was a little bit larger in the back and a little smaller in the front, like how our heads are generally shaped. And we call that Tech Fit. And we also have a 1-inch band around the base of the cap, so it makes it more durable. So those are the mechanics of the cap. As we started learning more from different disciplines within the sport of aquatics, we found that water polo players and artistic swimmers have more of a need down on the sides and the front and the back of the cap. So we're in the process of exploring and really trying to get a pulse on what kind of demand this product has and acceptance level it has within artistic swimming. So that's really one of the main factors and important factors that we lean on with Adam and his team to really try to understand, is this something that we need to build that's different and new for the folks in artistic swimming? We do hear time and time again that there are head injuries, concussions, both on the top and the sides of the head. I think Heather's going to get a little bit more specific about where the feedback she and her team have to offer about where what positions on a team are a little more vulnerable for injury. Although it's something right now where there's really nothing on the market today. So that's been our a forward-looking attitude toward introducing it to artistic swimming. Um, CAP has a front and a back, so our logo's on the front, and we are able to do one color printing. We also are able to do multiple color printing on the cap, so both sides. I think Adam's got some exciting news about the national team that he'll share with everybody, but we are able to put team logos on it. Some athletes like to wear the hammerhead under their team cap for various reasons. Some of them like it to keep their goggles on, others like it because it just feels more secure on. But I think Heather will also shed some light a little bit on the importance of the sizing. So we do have a small, medium, and large, and we basically have it set up so you measure an inch above the ear, the circumference of the head. And although no two heads are built the same, it's guideline. So every now and again, we run into someone who's in between sizes and we just have a hard time outfitting them. But that's the exception to the rule. We've also talked with diving and worked with a number of different teams and athletes in particular who are beginning to use the higher platforms. So they have to make sure that entry is just right, or they can have some injury on their head. Sometimes it's little blows that add up to all of a sudden that next little one just concussed them. So we're working to make sure that we're trying to get the word out with them as well. So if you know any divers, just let them know about the cap. And triathletes. So those mass starts are crazy. They also train in a pool where they're doing tons of yards whenever they're in the pool. So sometimes you lose count and start daydreaming and you hit your head. So we really want to make the point that we designed it to make aquatic sports safer, and we're just excited to be partnered with USA Aquatic Swimming and the great people that are part of it. So we've got a little bit of an additional promotion that we'd like to introduce today, and it may be with anyone that's live, or it may be with someone that watches this recorded. But for the first 5 teams that reach out to us, I can give Adam my email so he can share it with you all, or you can come to our website and hit contact us. But the first 5 teams will outfit you with a set of 20 caps to introduce to your team. Really a good idea for any of those that choose to go that route or give it a try, that we get you a sample kit first so you know what your athletes will wear, what size. So we'll coordinate that with Adam afterward, and he can include that when both he and Alyssa send out some communications with this video. So with that being said, I believe Heather's going to take it from here and give her input about working with Hammerhead, and then we can have some Q&A if there's time left at the end.
Yeah, thanks, Theresa. So I first found out about Hammerhead thanks to, obviously the partnership last year in 2020, and then everything shut down. So there wasn't even an opportunity to see, touch, and feel the Hammerhead caps at events because the events were canceled, which is really too bad, because it wasn't until late fall when they actually got into my hands and into the hands of WCA after the virtual challenge. So one of the rewards of doing well with the virtual challenge over the fall was a set of Hammerhead caps. And so when they came to the Aquanuts and they sat in the nut house, and no one really knew, there weren't enough to kind of go around with 100 plus swimmers. So coaches were hesitant to take them for their group. And we would kind of try them on individuals that had issues. And so it wasn't until late November, I coach a 13-15 team of 9, and we were practicing a lift, and the flyer on the top came down and sat on one of the pushers. And, from a coach's perspective, what's hard is, with artistic swimming, you can't always see what's happening underwater. You can't assess how hard the impact was. From the deck, it looked very small. But this person was having headaches and needed to be out of the water for a week. And, the sport is such that if one person is out for a few days, it's not an individual sport. It's, the epitome of a team sport, to where, if you can minimize the risk of one of your athletes being out for days at a time, then that allows the whole team to progress and move forward. And so from a coach's perspective, I just think it's a great insurance policy, to have a tool in your toolbox that's going to minimize the risk of injury, of injury of any kind. So when this person was hurt, I went ahead and, took a couple of the caps to try, and we started kind of implementing them in short terms and small sections whenever we were doing lift practices. And it took a little bit of trial and error, because it wasn't, of course, until after we tried it that I watched the tutorial on how the kids were supposed to put the caps on, and it made a really big difference. So, I've always been used to caps just being one size. So finding that Hammerhead has 3 caps, because not everyone is the same size, was important. It was also important to know that the Hammerhead cap needs to go on the hair and the head first. It's not, it doesn't stay as secure when you put it on another cap. So once we figured that out, then it made things a lot more comfortable. And they definitely, the response from the swimmers that have used them have said they felt safer. And it took some getting used to, because just like any new piece of equipment, you have to figure out the best way to utilize it, and also the comfort level. I remember growing up, we always had latex caps. And so when the silicone caps came out, it feels different, and they didn't feel as tight to me. So even as a swimmer, I never made that change in equipment. And that's such a small change compared to a cap that's actually there to protect you and to help minimize injury. The people that I've found that need the cap the most are the base and the flyer. The most concussions and injuries that we see in our sport are from lifts. Sometimes there are concussions that happen when people are doing a pattern change underwater and they get kicked by somebody else. And that's usually when it's to the side of the head. But the majority of the concussions, at least that I have seen and been around, have been from lifts. A flyer coming down, the lift didn't throw quite as well, and she's coming down on the top of someone's head. So, I would say that the technology that the Hammerhead cap utilizes right now would probably prevent or minimize, a large percentage of the injuries that we see. So we're excited to use it. I'm ecstatic about the prospect of having my swimmers in the pool every day and not having, 1 to 2 to 4 or 5 incidents on a team like WCA every year, where those kids are out and then it impacts the ability of the team. So.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, with kids home, I just had to have my children go outside of the room, because I don't know if you could hear them in the background, but it's just one of the joys of COVID, and a work webinar from home. But anyway, I thought it might be fun to demonstrate how to put the cap on, and they do come in different sizes. Theresa sent a nice link that's also on their website that gives a video demonstration of how to put it on. But what the swimmers need to do is to put their hair down low. A lot of artistic swimmers like to put their hair up at the top and then put their cap on. So you take the front, make sure the cap is at the front. You put it on the front first so that it goes over the ears. And then you can tuck the hair in at the back. So it's a nice snug fit. And this one's actually a little bit large for me, but if I was actually going to swim, I would use the next size down, but it didn't feel like squeezing my ears too much here for the demonstration. So it's nice and smooth, it's comfortable, it doesn't feel tight. You know, it took a little getting used to for my swimmers to have this extra padding on the top when they were upside down spinning. However, from a coach's perspective, I didn't see any difference in their spins or their vertical alignment. So it's not something that's going to throw them off.
That's good. Did you end up, was that a large you just tried on, Heather?
Yes. Yeah, I would
That's what I thought.
definitely, if I was swimming, it would be a medium.
Okay. Thank you for the demonstration.
So what you can't see is that my youngest son has put on the small and was banging his head on the table to test it out.
Oh, what does he think of the hammerhead?
We'll, you know, I think he likes trying it and distracting me as much as he possibly can.
You should have put the disclaimer up, don't try this at home, right?
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right. Well, thank you, Heather. I learned a lot in talking with you and hearing, you know, when we talked a little earlier this week, just understanding what the initial reaction was with your athletes. And then once we talked through in more detail about the sizing and things like that, that it does make a huge difference, and it is something different. So goggles took at least 3 years to catch on and become mainstream, and we're experiencing similar timelines. So yeah, and we've never had one tear, so it's a cap that will last a lifetime as long as your head doesn't keep growing.
Yeah, you know, I'm excited about it. I wish we had a tool like this when I was a swimmer. It would have alleviated a lot of stress and, you know, give me as an athlete more confidence. You know, especially it's even with pattern changes when you're moving from one point to another underwater. You know, and also artistic swimmers don't tend to swim laps with lane lines in. You know, we also have collisions because with our younger swimmers, they're going back and forth in the pool with no lane ropes. And so, you know, they're less aware, they have less experience. And so for those younger swimmers on your team, it's a great benefit to where even in, you know, when you're doing fall training where you're doing lots of laps, just to prevent any of those collisions that can occur. You know, older swimmers or more experienced swimmers tend to know how to look out where they're going. But, you know, for the older swimmers, it's a huge benefit because they're the ones that are tossing the lifts the farthest off of the surface of the water. You know, so when you have junior athletes or even 13, 15 athletes that throw lifts 10 and 15 feet off the surface of the water, that impact coming down, if it doesn't work just right, you know, can be really detrimental and lead to serious injury. So the caps are exciting. It's a great tool, and it's something that I think every club should test out, try, you know, a few with the swimmers and figure out the best way to implement it. And why wouldn't you want to use something that minimizes injury and guarantees you as a coach in a club that you're going to have your swimmers in the water, you know, on a daily basis, and not be out for, you know, weeks and sometimes months, depending on the severity of the concussion. It's a real issue in our sport. And a lot of people are under the assumption that artistic swimming is not a contact sport. And yet, you know, every year, even within the Walnut Creek Aquanuts, there are a half a dozen concussions every season. And that impacts the ability to train, progress, and improve.
Very good.
Yeah,
Really
that's
helpful.
fantastic. I mean, there's no price tag that you can place on safety, especially if you're a parent and you're talking about your child. So, and to that point, it's not as though Hammerhead is that much more expensive than a standard cap. So, Theresa, I would ask that you share that general price point information. And then just for those that are listening and may not read entirely when we send out this video, where they can find a Hammerhead cap.
Perfect. Thank you. So the Hammerhead swim caps are $34.95, and we do have different tiers of team discounts. We also are adding if it's a large team that wants to implement, we're adding a different purchasing option at checkout where you can spread the costs over a number of different payments. Standard swim caps are, call it, if you're getting silicone, usually 12 to 15 bucks, and they tear. I'm a swim mom and he's 16, and we've been through our fair share of swim caps. So it really, like Adam said, it's with the investment for safety, it's really not that much more. In fact, it's probably a better value when you think about how many other caps you use and replace over the years. So you can find us at www.hammerheadswimcaps, it's plural.com. And if you have any questions, you can shoot an email to info@hammerheadswimcaps.com. We'll be quick to get back to you, answer questions, talk through your team needs. If you'd like to look at decoration, we can get you a quote. But yeah, we'd love to start working with more teams. And like I said, we'll include something with Adam's communication with Alyssa to offer 5 teams the ability to give it a run. First come, first serve.
So Kathleen, you heard it. You have the first opportunity. You can be the Aquamaid of the year, or at least the month, by jumping on the opportunity.
Yeah, no, I'm very interested. And we've had sports medicine doctors come talk to our team about concussions. And again, we've had, just like Walnut Creek, our fair share of concussions. So I'm very excited about this. I did have a question about, I know a lot of the girls we cap when we're doing practice right before competition, and they're wearing headpieces, their hair is in a bun. So would the cap work in that situation?
That would be more challenging, and it could be that they just go up a size, but it may, I think we'd have to give it a go and just try it out. But we usually, what we do emphasize is trying to get the hair lower on the head so that there's already that safety feature up there. It gets harder to pull down far enough. So Heather, do you think you could try that with some of your athletes?
Yeah, we could give that a try and see how it works. My gut tells me that the best application is going to be on a day-to-day basis at practice, and working out the kinks, understanding pattern changes, knowing that a lift functions well before you get to the meet. I don't know with the headpiece is really high, if that would work. Sometimes when athletes put them a little lower, it might, but that'll just, we haven't tried it, so I don't know. But by the time you get to a competition, you're well practiced. It's less likely that you're gonna, it sometimes happens, but it's less likely that you're going to have injuries at the competition with a well-polished routine than at practice when you're working through those unknowns and getting swimmers to understand where they're supposed to be and when. So I think the day-to-day is going to be more important, but we can certainly, throw one on with a headpiece and see how that goes.
That's a
Any
good
other
question.
questions, Kathleen?
That's a good question, Kathleen. Yeah, I was going to say the same as Theresa did. Any others?
No, not right now. I definitely would like to see one and try one. I know also some girls have a lot of hair. Have you found issues with that?
The best workaround for long hair is to wear it like we suggest, and then some of the girls have to put a cap over it. just to get it to like stay conformed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Kind of in the same way that sometimes swimmers will wear two caps anyway. Just, when we start running through routines and practice the way we want to compete, we don't wear goggles, and sometimes the caps, slip off. And so, a lot of swimmers will wear two caps anyway, and maybe just using the hammerhead on the bottom and then the other cap on the top to hold it secure. I had some swimmers that have some swimmers that have very long hair, and we just had to put the right size on, so the small slipped off, but the medium fit. So just, maybe taking that into consideration when you are measuring the head.
Okay.
Yeah, and the medium and the small, the biggest proportion difference is in the length of it. So, I mean, really, the majority of the caps we sell are mediums. That sweet spot between the adult large head and the pretty small head.
Well, thank you both. And I would just want to add that our national team is wearing this cap as well, very similar to the way that Heather has shared, right? In situations where there can be some sets of catastrophes, right? And they're training every single day. And I will knock on wood that I have not had a concussion report to me in the last year. And it's due to safe training habits, but also the support and protection to the flyers and the base athletes that are competing and training on a day-to-day basis with this product. So you have heard it from an Olympian and the founder and myself that this product is moving us forward. And we talk about athlete safety all the time. It is our top priority at USA Artistic Swimming. And this is one of those products that helps us achieve that goal and is really effective in that effort. So we hope that each of you will, at the very least, take a look at the Hammerhead website. And we have some additional exciting news to share. And I think Theresa is also going to sign us off. So I'm going to first kick it to Alyssa. She's going to share an exciting opportunity with the national team. And then we'll send it to Theresa to close us.
Insider info we're going to be announcing on our social media next week. We're starting a contest in partnership with Hammerhead. You can submit designs for the national team swim cap. Your creative take, no direction, anything that you want. That contest is going to run for 10 days. So we're going to start accepting submissions on January 20th, and it will close on January 30th. And you can send those to my email. That's Alyssa, ALYSSA, at usaartisticswim.org. We're going to pick a winner collectively, and then that winner, the design will be featured on the national team's swim caps that they wear, and then the contest designer that wins will get their own swim cap themselves. So lots of opportunities to get free swim caps in this webinar. So that's always great news.
Yeah, we're super excited with this contest. We're hoping for some great, fun designs that will make the national team proud to wear.
Fantastic. I appreciate the time of Heather Olson, Theresa Finn, and thank you, Theresa, to you and your partner, David, and all of Hammerhead Swim Caps for everything that you've done for us. We look forward to a great year ahead, and I think that this webinar will lead us to that.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a great weekend.